Hi, everybody. Welcome. It's nice to see you here. I see Marianne and Sue. Hi. Okay, so I'm Romy Hill. For those of you who will come later, maybe, and possibly watch this, and I am the designer behind Designs by Romy. And every Thursday, unless there's like something happening, like I'm teaching somewhere or something like that, or there's a blizzard and I can't get on, um, I go live and talk about techniques that I have shown on Instagram and also some stuff in my designs, and I answer your questions. And so, welcome. I love seeing you all. Hi, Karen. Hi, Judy. It's lovely to see you. Um, so I actually just released a pattern today, even though I'm not really I'm not technically talking about it today, but I love them. So you get to see these are called It's a Slippery Slope, and it's part of my oddments a month. And these are completely and totally slip stitch. So they look just like stranded knitting, but I know a lot of you have been talking about how like stranded knitting is difficult for you. You have a hard time with tension and stuff like that. So totally slip stitch. So this is not stranded, even though it looks like it. So hang on and let me just show you what it looks like up close. So this is what it looks like up close. So you can see it really, really looks like stranded knitting. And so I'm going to show you this really embarrassing part because I have not woven all of my ends in yet. I have started on it, but but it takes a while. So I haven't woven them all in, so you can see them kind of like hanging out here. So this is what it looks like on the inside. So these were purposely designed so that they'd be a really relaxing knit that you could just do by slipping stitches. And because you're only ever slipping one stitch at a time, it's difficult to do these too tight. So, I mean, you can do it, like you do have to pay attention to, like, you don't want to pull the yarn tight or anything like that, but that's only one stitch at a time slip. So it's like knit one, slip one, knit one, slip one on every round. And even if you are like stranded knitting, these are so relaxing. So I I don't have a problem with stranded knitting, but I just find these were like such a relaxing knit. And they're written for three colors. So, however, I use 10 colors, 10 contrast colors, and one master color. So, super fun. I hope you give them a try. They have a little trick on the cast on here. So you cast on and then you knit back and or work back and forth. At the first row you do is a knit row and then you turn it over and you purl and then you join them. And when you do that, makes it way easier to join in the round, and you don't run any risk of having to like find out later that you twisted that that initial cast on round. So then later on, you just go back and you sew up the edge where you went back and forth. And this also creates a really nice little rolled edge. It's what I do when I just want to kind of relax and not do a tubular cast on and then mess around with switching my stitches back and forth to do 2 by 2 ribbing. So these are just like relaxing. There's no thumb gusset, so you don't have to worry about doing anything with the patterning under here. So they're constructed like Latvian mittens, where you just have a like just some stitches across here, and you cast on the same number up top, and they fit really nicely. So this is what it looks like when you're wearing them. and they come in small, medium, large, and extra large. So this was a very satisfying knit, I will say, because it was just relaxing and it was really colorful and it made me really happy because every time um, like the colors went by really fast and I couldn't wait to put the new color in. So they were just really fun. So I hope you guys have a lot of fun with them too. And let's see. Hi Nancy. Hi Chanda. Holly, Dee, Jeannie. Oh, it's so nice to see you all. So Dee mentioned the blizzard. The blizzard is coming. Like I can, it's up on the top of the mountain. Like I'm kind of looking out this my studio window, and I can see it up there. So far, like it hasn't burped over the top yet. So we're not in the middle of a blizzard quite yet. So hopefully I will be finished with this live before the blizzard rolls down the mountain. So yes, Nancy, you definitely have to get the pattern. Again, these are part of my oddments a month. So it's one scrap, like yarn scrap pattern a month for a year, and this is the fourth pattern. So yeah, and they're cozy, like perfect for today. This morning was sunny, and then it got really windy, and now it's snowing. So, hi, Diana. It's lovely to see you all here. So, I hopefully this has stayed off still, that now anybody can chat. So far it's worked out really well. But please like and subscribe anyway because it really helps me in the algorithm. So if you could do that, I would love it. Okay, so I have some stuff to go over today. I have all of my knitting needles here. Um, so I don't know if how many of you know, but I was one of the original knit stars. Like if you have seen knit stars, like it's gotten to be this really big thing. So I was one of the original ones on year one, and I was even in Hi Terry. Um, I was even I was in the archive even, like they archived my season, like they but now they have started offering some of the older sessions as like just standalones. So, and they just started offering mine. So there's a lot of information in there. Like when I did this, I sort of overachieved on stuffing all the information in there. Like I had everything completely wired and timed out and all of that to fit into the amount of time that was allotted. So there's a bunch of stuff in there. There's a pattern that comes with it, and there's shawl shapes PDF and a lot of kind of fun stuff in there. And if you wanted to see the area sort of around where I live and my studio and stuff, that's in there too. And I put a link in the notes. So if you want to grab it, that would be awesome. And because it's mine, I have an affiliate link for it. So, like, I was the only person allowed to have an affiliate link for it. Woo. Anyway, yeah, so hopefully some of you have not seen this already. I see Sue and Nancy. Yay. I am so glad. I hope that you enjoyed I hope you enjoyed the classes. So, and then also it's getting to be mystery shawl time again. So, a Verb for Keeping Warm has put their mystery kits up, and it includes two skeins of their beautiful yarn. So they have three bases this year, floating, which I'm using, and then also Annapurna and Rumor. So they only bring out Rumor this one time in the year, and it's merino and silk single. It's really beautiful. And I always use floating because it's like petting a kitten and like it's my little treat for the year. And that one is alpaca and cashmere. And then there's Annapurna, and that is cashmere and merino. So they're all really beautiful. And then you get like a partial first clue of it when it ships out. And also you get a handmade pin by me. So I hope that you go check out the beautiful colors this year. I am using the, I think it's called Wisteria and Berry Cream or something like that. I don't remember the exact name that they came up with. It was a beautiful name. Um, so yeah, it's really pretty kits, and I forgot to add a link, so I will add that later. And let's see. Oh, yay, Judy, you got it. Excellent. Yes, floating in the wisteria is so pretty. And so also, I didn't mention this, but because you all are chatting away in the live chat, there's a little bit of a delay. So I'm sitting here talking, and one of the issues, like when a storm is coming, um, I have spotty service. So what usually happens is that my broadcast software starts buffering a little bit more. So it can be a little bit lagging behind. So um, you won't see me like saying what I'm saying right now, maybe for like 10 to 15 seconds. And then you'll type question in there, and then I'll answer it. But just be aware that there's a little bit more of a lag today than there usually is. So, okay. So just one more plug for It's a Slippery Slope. And I know it's a terrible pun. There are slip stitches, and I'm hoping that it's like a gateway into color work for those of you who have not tried stranded knitting before or who have had problems with it. And next week, I will be going over these completely. And I will also be talking about how to work a stranded project, like how to turn it into a slip stitch project. So if you have problems with stranded knitting, you can take any stranded project and turn it into a slip stitch project like this. So, like the possibilities are endless, and that's next week. I'll be talking about that. So, today I'm going to talk a little bit about blocking through the gate gently. So, this was my mashup pattern for the 2023 Lace Lovers Club. And I am like I've been gathering all of my stuff together to ship out the 2024 club. So I had a couple of people asking about that. And so I do start a little bit later because this time of year is just the craziest time of year ever. So I don't start my Lace Lovers Club like right at the beginning of the year. I wait a little bit because, like, seriously, craziness. So with all the like getting ready with kits and stuff like that. So let's take a look here. So when I designed this, um, you know, probably have noticed that I put these little scallops on the edge here. And that is both beautiful and also really utilitarian because this is this works really, really well for blocking it. So I like to block with blocking wires, and I just thread them through the scallops on the edge here and pin it out. And then on the end here, I'm going to show you what I do with this little scallop on the end. Just show it over here so you can kind of see it better. Um, you can see it more like when it's not in front of my face. So I'm going to show you what I do with the end. So Sue asked, what colorway is my through the gate? This is soft green. So Biche à Bouche soft green. And this is what it looks like. So it's really pretty. I think it's soft green. Yes, soft green. So really beautiful. Let me transition over so you can see it's just it's really gentle and beautiful hazy color. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So because this has all the little scallops and all of the edge here, super easy to block out. So let's see. Oh, Judy, let's see. Yay. You're moving along really well, Judy. And then Sue, have you tried, I think maybe you could, I don't know if you can order directly from them, the dark gold. I'm not sure. The dark gold is really pretty. The regular gold is also really pretty. So you might consider that if you're able to find it. Okay, so let's take a look at this. I'm just going to put my little blocking mat here. So I use these, they're a foot square, and they're just those little interlocking tiles, blocking tiles. And I use TIG welding rod, and it's 100% stainless steel. And I just got this at Ace Hardware forever ago. And it's lasted really, really well. So it's bendy, like you can actually deform it and everything. But it's 100% stainless steel, and it's really nice because it doesn't have any kind of cheapy plating or anything like that. It's just solid metal. So, and then, so Nancy asked if I could talk about the mystery knit along, and I totally will. I will talk about it right after I do the blocking. So, stand by. I will talk more about it. Okay. So I get a lot of questions, particularly about the length of blocking wires, because they're always shorter than your shawl. So I just use several along the side. So if I were to be blocking this out, I would just be pinning out the side here. And if I come to the end of my blocking wire, so here I go, this is how I would be pinning it out. I do this fully wet, so I actually wash it in wool wash, and I thoroughly and completely rinse it, and then I get as much moisture out of it as possible. I roll it up in a towel and I walk on it. So at the end here, so the side's much longer. So at the end of each of the little blocking wires, I'm just going to go along here and add another blocking wire in. And where those come together, I add some extra pins. So I don't want this to move around here. I want that to be nice and straight. So I just add a few extra pins right where it transitions over. and then continue to block it along the side. So when I start to block, I weave in and out all the way along the sides on both sides and the ends before I then start pinning it out. And that helps me to spread it evenly, and it also helps to have my tiles that I know are a consistent size and shape so that I can sort of gauge if I'm off because super easy to get sort of a keystone effect on it. So, okay. Hi, Cynthia. Alrighty. So that's the edge. So let's turn it over onto the end. And I do stretch really tight. So don't worry about stretching it super tight because the wet fabric is stronger than the dry fabric. And you're not going to harm it at all. Um, One of my former test knitters used to put weights around the edges of her blocking mats because she stretched it so hard. So don't worry about it. Okay, so the end here. Um, what I like to do is use my blocking wire as just sort of a guide here. So I weave it in and out on the end, and I stretch it all out. I have everything all pinned out here, but I don't really like the way the blocking wire makes those scallops look on the end here. So here's what I do. I'll go and pin out all of these little scallops here individually so that they can dry properly. I didn't pin these two at the bottom. And then I put a pin up at the top here in the two scallops right up at the top that the blocking wire is already through. And I do that all the way across here. So get all of these pinned out, and I get it pinned out on both sides so that I can get everything perfectly stretched out and completely even here. So this is what both sides would look like when I've finished. And then I'm just going to pull my blocking wire out. So I prefer the way this looks, but this way I've been able to adjust to make sure that it's straight across. And I'm not going to have to pin and unpin because I already know like everything is all even all the way across. And I just let it dry. And I leave the blocking wires in along the sides, but both ends are going to be like this. So that, my friends, is my little blocking trick. I just use regular pins, so regular tiles. These were from Knit Picks. I think they probably still have them, the tiles, that is. And the pins, if you're using a naturally dyed yarn, you're going to want to test to make sure that your pins aren't going to continue the dye process because if you have used a naturally dyed yarn, and it's a little cold in my studio here. If you have used a naturally dyed yarn and your pins have some like base metals or something like that in the plating or other little issues, it can actually um, make your dye process continue. Like it can act as a catalyst and you can get little spots of different color on there. So if you, that's not going to happen with like commercial um, acid dyes, just with natural dyes. So just be careful. If you used a naturally dyed yarn, go ahead and wet, take a swatch or just pieces of yarn or something like that. Wet it, wash it, do whatever you're going to do with it. Wrap it around your pins and make sure that it's not going to act as a catalyst and continue the dye process. So that's actually one of the reasons I really like those TIG welding rod because they are inert. So, and I'm just going to put that in the chat, I think, so you know how to spell it. It's TIG welding rod. Um, okay. So just stuck it in the chat there. And you can find it on Amazon as well. So lots of places you can find it. And I think the one that I have is about a 14 gauge. So it's really nice. It works really well. It lasts forever. Now I'm warm. Okay. All right. So there was a question on my forum on Ravelry about the initial cast on. So it's a provisional cast on, and I used a waste yarn cast on. So when you use a waste yarn cast on, that's you're going to take that waste yarn completely out, and that means you have to knit a row of your working yarn to be able to work on the loops of your working yarn. So if you want to do a different type of cast on, um, there are different things you need to do with each cast on. So let me grab a needle here and I'll show you a couple of different ones. So I do like to use, sometimes I use the Turkish cast on as a provisional cast on. And let me show you what that looks like. Okay, so a Turkish cast on, one of my faves. I think it's a lot of fun. And sometimes I use it as a provisional cast on. So I know that some of you do not like to use waste yarn and crochet hook. So for Turkish, you're going to have two needles. Um, I like to cast on with a smaller one, and my working needle. Maybe I'll just do that instead here. Okay, let me turn this around here. I want to use my long one. Okay, so the thing about the Turkish cast on is when you wrap it, sometimes you're going to get a little bit of looseness in there. So that's why I'm going to start. This is my second needle. It's a smaller needle than my working needle that I'm going to use later. So I am going to put my slip knot on my smaller needle. And when I'm holding my needles in my right hand like this to do the wrapping for a Turkish cast on, the top needle is going to be the one that saves my stitches for later. So that's the smaller one, and it's also the one that has this knot on it. So I'm going to take my yarn and then just wrap it. So however many stitches I want to cast on, I'm just going to wrap and then turn it around. So now this right here, this is the one that's going to wait until later, and that's just going to hang out there until I need those stitches later. So you can see here, that I have the working yarn on my needle already. So since it's on here already, I am not going to do that extra row of knitting. So this can be a little bit tough because you'll need to start the chart right from here. You don't want to put another row of knitting in here. You're going to start chart A right from this row because you're working on your needle. So that's the big difference between the Turkish cast on and the crochet chain. So once I have my stitches wrapped like this, I would be actually, I think it starts with, a knit one through the back loop, and then knit one through the back loop, yarn over. So I would just be patterning along here to do that edging all the way across. And then when I come back later, I am going to have these stitches waiting on my other needle. And let me just show you what this looks like with some patterning on it, because it can be really tough to do these because it's hard sometimes to be able to see um, where the stitches really are on your needle. So you're going to need to pay extra attention when you go back and use the stitches that are waiting for you on the needle. So that's Turkish. So let's talk about Judy's, because I know quite a few people who love Judy's Magic Cast On, and I do too. It's a great cast on. So Judy's is a two-stranded cast on, and it's different because it leaves you with a purl row. So that is going to make that's going to make the pattern different for you because you're not going to have that initial wrong side row where you get your stitches straight. So basically what happened, if you watched last week, you will have seen in my transition, actually I'm not going to use a slip knot. You'll have seen in my transition that on the wrong side row, getting ready to start working the charts after you've taken out the crochet cast on, I was adding and moving stitches around and some, moving stuff back and forth. If you use Judy's, you're going to have an extra row, and you'll have you'll have like a purl bump row all the way across. So what is going to happen is that on your edging, you're going to have a little space of stockinette there, and it's not going to join quite the same as it would um, with the crochet cast on. So, but let me show you this. Okay, so Judy's. Um, oops, I always forget which way this goes. Okay, Judy's. Here we go. So I'm just going to start with my little loop across the top here. And as I was mentioning before, it's a double-stranded cast on. So with a double-stranded cast on, what I usually do is cast on 10 stitches and take it out, figure out how much tail I needed to use, and then I go back and I measure it out because I hate having too much or too little. So with Judy's, this is how I'm going to start. You can see the top there, how that comes over. Okay, so here's the rule. You hold it as a slingshot. The finger yarn always goes on the bottom needle, and the thumb yarn always goes on the top needle. So you're going to alternate back and forth, and you want to make sure that each needle is being wrapped so that the right leg is in front and the left leg is in back. So it's going to look a little bit different for the bottom and the top needles. So there's my first stitch on the top needle. and my second stitch is right there on the bottom needle. So I twist my hand a little bit. I find that that makes it easier for the motion. And I'm going to bring my yarn in between the two needles and up and over the top needle. And now I'm going to twist it a little bit, and my finger needle is going to come over the bottom needle. So as I'm doing this, these are twisting together on the back and creating a row of pearls. So let me show you what that looks like in just a sec. Okay, when I turn it over, you can see here there's a row of pearls. So this works really well for the stockinette inner portion of my shawl. On the outside, however, this being the wrong side is going to look like stockinette on the other side. So you're going to have to go through some shenanigans to sort of catch up. You're going to start with a right side row in the transition instead of a wrong side row, and you're going to kind of have to fudge the stitches across on the chart because you're going to start with a chart instead, because you already have your working yarn rows in here. Okay, so there are other people that I know who do other types of waste yarn cast-ons. So I just like the crochet one because it unzips really well. And I don't know if you have any questions. Let me know. This was just something that I saw in a Ravelry thread, and a couple of people were talking about how you crochet left-handed, and somehow that makes it more difficult to unzip. Although I'm not sure. It's I don't think crocheting left-handed by itself will make it difficult to unzip. Um, but I don't know. So if you do have problems unzipping, I do have a suggestion, and that is just to try a plain crochet chain and see how that works for you. Like, see if you're able to unzip just the plain crochet chain without a knitting needle in the way, and maybe you'll find something in there. So I am just going to show you what a regular everyday crochet chain is going to look like. So it's going to start with a slip stitch. So all you're going to do is yarn over your crochet hook and pull it through. So this is a chain, and a lot of people like to do this. I'm actually doing it the knitter with my yarn the knitter's way over this way. If you do it, you can do it the other way too. This is how crochet is generally through the back. So either way, it shouldn't make any difference, whichever one of those you do. It's just a chain. So all you're doing is putting your yarn over your hook and pulling it through that loop. So that's a chain. So let me show you. This is how it should unzip. It should just come right out like this. So if you are not able to unzip, then something weird is happening. So it shouldn't have a problem. I'm going to try. I don't know if I can really crochet left-handed, but I'll try it. It's probably not going to work. I mean, I'm back to like kindergarten crochet here, doing it left-handed. Um, okay, there's one. Yeah, I don't know. So I don't know what is going on. Um, but I'm just gonna do a few and prove to you that even with my pathetic attempts at left-handed crochet, this will still unzip. Okay, there's my left-handed chain and it still unzips. So something else is going on there. And Sue, I agree that doing it directly over the knitting needle is so much better because, okay, so what people often do is they crochet the chain like this. So here's my little crocheted chain. And then you want to go, if you're going to be picking up stitches from the chain, you want to pick up in this little bump in the back here. So I am bump challenged and I have never been able to pick up all of the correct stitches in a crochet chain. So if you crochet it onto a knitting needle, this is actually what you're getting around the needle is these little bumps here, but you get all the correct bumps. So then when you go to unzip it, it unzips really easily. And then, hi Terry, it's really good to see you. Okay, so here's my example. So I cannot suggest this method strongly enough. If you crochet over the needle like this is your bump right here. So you're never going to get the wrong bump on your knitting needle. You will always get the right one on there. So what may be happening is I have seen people put the live stitch on the knitting needle, and that may be a problem trying to unzip it. But the only live stitch is on your crochet hook here. And so here's my demonstration. If you take any of these stitches off of your knitting needle, nothing happens because they're not live crocheted stitches. But if you take the crochet hook out, there goes your chain. So yeah, I don't know. I do also suggest when you do this, when you do your chain, when I do my little cast on here and I do it onto my needle, I always mark the end that I'm going to start unzipping from. Because if you unzip from the incorrect end, you're just going to have to pick every single stitch out. So what I always do is I get to the end here, then I just put a little pin in it. So put that pin in there that holds it. I cut my waste yarn, and then later when I go back, all I have to do is just look for the pin. I take the pin out and unzip. So hopefully that has helped. I just hoping that it has helped. Okay, onwards. Alrighty. So I had a question from somebody about going from knitting in the round to knitting back and forth. So when you go from knitting in the round to going back and forth, if you are if you are a combination knitter, you can start to get twisted stitches. So these are untwisted stitches. So you can take a look up here and you can see on at the base of the stitch here, they're nice and open. So these are untwisted stitches and um, they are knitted in the round. So if you're a combination knitter, that means you knit a Western knit, and then you're going to have your stitches mounted on your needle with the right leg in front. The right or leading leg is in front, and the left leg is in the back here. Okay, so the problem arises when often if you switch, if you don't realize you are a combination knitter and you switch, like you divide your sweater to go back and forth, like at the armholes or something like that. If you are a combination knitter, it's really easy to twist your stitches. So a combination knitter, okay, so here's a Western purl where the yarn goes over the top, and that is going to mount your stitch with the right leg in front and the left leg in back. Here is an Eastern purl. This is what I think a lot of Russians call granny style. You come over the top of your yarn and through. So it's it's a much more spare motion. So it goes faster, and a lot of people purl that way. So if I were going to do this English style, here's a Western purl, and here is an like a Eastern mount purl. The yarn goes under, and then that mounts your stitch with the right leg in back. So it's not a problem. The only problem arises if you don't know that you're doing it. So let's go across here, and I'm just going to do the Eastern purl all the way across here. So there's also Eastern uncrossed knitting, and that's a different type of purl. It looks a little bit like a Norwegian purl, but it's not quite the same. Oops. So let me just go to this side here. Okay. So now I'm looking at this and I want to knit across. My right leg is in the back of my needle and my left leg is in front. Okay. If I don't realize that, when I go to knit, I am going to knit in the front loop here, and that's going to twist my stitch. So I just did this. Here's another twisted stitch. Okay, so if you take a look right here at the base, do you see how that's all closed up now? Like the stitch isn't nice and open anymore. So that really tightens up your gauge, and it's going to look completely different from the bottom here. So if you do that type of purl, what you want to do when you're knitting across is you're going to knit through the back loop of all the stitches that are mounted with your right leg and back. And if you knit through the back loop, that's going to straighten it out and keep it open. So here is where that's where I knit through the front loop on those stitches that had the right leg mounted in back. And over on this side over here, I knitted through the back loop. So what you want to do is, regardless of how you purl, you just need to take a look at how your stitch is mounted. So that's the easiest way to figure it out. If it's mounted with your right leg and back here, you're going to knit through the back loop, and that is going to open that stitch up. So now here is kind of an interesting little thing. If you're working twisted stitch pattern, and this is the type of purl you have, you want to reorient whatever twisted stitch pattern it is to have your right leg in front and your left leg in back. And that is because if you twist it just like this, you're twisting it to the right. If you twist it when you have your right leg in front, you're twisting it to the left. So if you're working a twisted stitch pattern and you don't realize that, you're going to have your stitches twisting both ways, and it looks kind of sloppy. So, so let me show you what this looks like. So here's what it would look like. I'm just going to twist these so you can see what it will look like. It looks a little weird, to be honest. Okay. All right. So say I'm doing, like, there are a lot of German twisted stitch patterns where you twist on both sides and then sew the garment together. So this is not a problem when you're doing it in the round, really. So you're going to get something that looks really weird because you're not going to get a nice line of beautiful twisty stitches. So this one is twisting one way and then the one above it is twisting the other way. I should have used a lighter yarn. Sorry about that. Next time, I'll talk about this again some other time, and I'll use a lighter yarn so you can see it better. So, and then one more thing I wanted to go over. I had talked a little bit about picking up stitches before. I'm just going to talk a little bit each time I have a live about picking up stitches because it seems to be something that everybody is very interested in. So this little swatch here mimics a cardigan. So I have done this to mimic a V-necked cardigan like this. And it's stockinette stitch. I have offset my decreases so that they do not fall straight at the edge. So here's the difference. Over here, there are decreases on the edge. Over here, I prepared this piece so that I moved the decreases in because I don't like the way this looks. I like this nice little edge here, like this. So I moved my decreases in 2 stitches. Okay, so I'm going to pick up stitches, and as if for a button band. And I'm going to use a full stitch as a selvage. So that means this whole stitch column on the side here is going to be completely hidden. And I want to make sure that this line of stitches here is always perfectly untouched. So I don't want any little pieces of stitch over here, or I don't want to get my needle into this column at all. So here is where I'm going to be picking up. So you can see if I pull this apart here, there are all of these holes and bars in between stitches. So I know some people like to pick up the bars. I do not. I like to pick up through the hole between bars. I think it looks neater. It looks neater for my style. I have actually seen people who are able to pick up the bars and make it look beautiful, and you may be one of those people. I just am not. So I always go through the hole. So I am going to pick up 3 stitches for every 4 rows. And that means I'm going to pick up stitches in 3 holes and then skip a hole. So here is, so I want to say this is pick up and knit. So pick up would just be this. You'd just be picking up a stitch, or you could just pick up an edge like this. That's pick up. So this is pick up and knit. Okay, so I have 3 stitches picked up and knit, and I'm to my 4th hole. I'm going to skip that. And I'm just going to continue picking up and knitting in these holes. So a stockinette is a little oblong. Garter stitch is perfectly square. Well, I mean, nothing's perfect, but it's closer. So garter stitch has a different ratio, but for stockinette stitch, it's mostly going to be 3 stitches per 4 rows. So this can change a little bit if you have a big difference in needle size, but for the most part, it's going to work for you to do 3 stitches for every 4 rows. So now when I get to the corner here, I'm actually going to stick in a few extra stitches. So I'm not going to skip any here because I want to ease it around the corner nicely. So I'm just going to do some extras here. So I think a lot of times the problem comes up when patterns say pick up and knit a random number of stitches, and you are not able to make it look good because the random number of stitches doesn't really go with the ratio. So my suggestion when that happens is to stick to the ratio and then add more stitches later if you have to. But you want that nice clean edge along the side here. So you don't want to be picking up, for instance, if you don't have enough holes to pick up all the stitches, you don't want to be picking up in any other place other than that column right in between the outer column and this first column here. You don't want to be picking up like pieces of this stitch or fudging it or anything like that because you're going to end up with a column that isn't tidy at all. So that is my initial pickup. You can see here I added stitches around the corner. So now if this were a scoop neck or something like that, and what I was actually picking up was going to scoop back up on the diagonal parts, I would pick up fewer stitches. So, and I will talk about that later on. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the mystery shawl because it's my favorite time of year. So a Verb for Keeping Warm has put out their beautiful mystery kits today. And I have been like running way behind. So I will have the actual mystery pattern listing up tomorrow. And there's a theme, and I'll share that with you because you're here. The theme, the name of the shawl is Way Leads On to Way. And if you are a fan of Robert Frost, as I am, I grew up on Robert Frost poems, and that is a line from what is that? I don't even remember the name of it. Isn't that pathetic? I'm having like a senior moment here. I could recite the poem, Two roads diverged in a yellow wood. Anyway, the road not taken. Thank you. Phew, I scared myself there for a moment. Um, so it's a line from The Road Not Taken. And it's just about how the process is really important. And I think a lot of times we get stuck on getting to a particular goal and we forget to enjoy all the little beautiful bits along the way. So that is what I was thinking about. And I will actually go more into more detail later. So anyway, they have their kits up, and it includes two skeins of yarn. I always do a two-color shawl and also a handmade shawl pin by me and designed and handmade by me. And the kit also includes the pattern. So I generally price my mystery on a sliding scale, like pay what you can, because I put a lot into the mystery. So I just want to tell you that the pattern that is included in the kit is not the full price pattern. So just just so you know. And then also the pattern is it's going to start on April 26th, which is a Friday. There will be 5 clues. Um, I always do something that's pretty traditional. Like if you look at my past mystery shawls, um, it's going to be in that same type of vein because I want it to be a mystery, but I don't want it to be like such a complete mystery that it utterly and completely takes you off guard. So I try to kind of stay in that type of aesthetic. So if you like the way that the former mystery shawls look, then you will probably like the one that's coming up. So a lot of people really like to do this. Like this is a lot of people will start their lace knitting journey with this mystery shawl because we're all knitting it together. We knit it in my Ravelry group and my Facebook group. And I also have a live for each clue. So every time a clue comes out, they come out Fridays. That afternoon, I have a live and I go through the entire clue. And you can ask questions and make comments, or you can email me your questions that you want me to answer. And I go through everything in it and show you how to do everything, how it all fits together. And it's actually a really great way to start knitting lace. So hopefully you will join me. And you can actually get different types of yarn. You don't have to have the verb kit. So I promise, like you can shop from stash. So let's see if I missed anybody. Okay, I see comments. Sue says that she picks up a ratio 5 stitches to 7 rows. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, some different patterns, like different stitch patterns, um, are a little bit different in their gauge. So definitely, like I was just picking up from straight stockinette stitch, but often if you have like a seed stitch or cables or something like that, it can change your stitch to row gauge. So yeah, that's excellent. And then Queen Tut said, I knit my first lace shawl with you last year. Yay! I love to hear that. That is fantastic. So also for anybody who is interested in starting lace, I have a series of like a playlist of just lace videos, lives that I did, and they are like lace from A to Z, and those are still up on my YouTube channel. So if you want to kind of get ready and study up on lace and stuff like that, that's a good way to do it. And then let's see. Oh, Nancy, that is fantastic. I didn't realize that was your first mystery last year. That is so cool. So, yeah, I hope everybody joins joins in and has a lot of fun. So, okay. So one more time. It's a slippery slope. Live next Thursday, I will go over this entire pattern from start to finish. So, if there is anything in there that you don't understand or whatever, you can also like hang out in my Ravelry or Facebook groups and ask. And then there's no chart in this, so it's a completely written pattern. So no chart, no stranded knitting. It's super relaxing, at least it was to me. So I hope it is to you too. And so Nancy asked which yarn I am using on the mystery. I get floating every year. It's like my treat. So Verb, the floating kit that's the purples. There's the wisteria and then the berry, I think it's berry cream. So yeah, that's my pairing. And I can't I can't wait for you all to see it. And I can't wait to knit with you all. So yay. You Terry ordered you ordered my the same one. I totally fell in love with that color combination, and you absolutely deserve it. You definitely deserve the floating. It's so pretty. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. I am so excited that I was able to get to the end of this without the storm knocking out my service. It's fantastic, and I love that you joined me. And let me see if I have any. Okay, okay. So Cynthia said, you said that you have problems with charts. So I do want to say also, all of my patterns that have charts have written instructions as well, except for the color work ones where I don't actually say, like knit two stitches of color one, change to color two, or anything like that. But if that's important for lace, like having written instructions, all of my lace patterns do have written instructions for the charts. Then let's see. Yay! I am so excited that we're all getting ready for the mystery. Okay, take care, everybody. For those of you who are near, like Terry, batten down the hatches. Oh, one more thing. I've totally forgot. Bay Area Yarn Crawl. I have two classes at a Verb for Keeping Warm. One is Friday, and that is knitting a swoop shawl, and then also that I did a sweater that's kind of based on the swoop shawl. So there will be little tips and tricks in that class as well. And then on Saturday, it's a cool thing that I haven't tried before, which is basically like I am yours for 2.5 hours. So you like bring your pattern in or ask me to run down all of my patterns, which one that you might want to knit. I can go through the patterns with you guys. It's like it's like I'm gonna sit there like it's my little workshop, and you guys can hang out with me and pick my brain for 2.5 hours. So I think it's going to be fun. So thank you again. And let's see. Ooh, yes, I need to go build a fire too. It's cold out there. So stay warm and cozy. And I will see you next week. Take care, everybody. Have a fantastic weekend. And I love seeing you here in the chat. So thanks for joining me. Bye bye.